The Boston Marathon is special. It's iconic, challenging, and has a way of bringing out the best in runners, while also highlighting their weaknesses. I have some history with Boston, running it for the first time 23 years ago at the 2002 version of the race. I've loved it ever since. For the past 2 years, I've been fortunate enough to be my age group champion at the Boston Marathon, and in 2023, I had the opportunity to race in the professional group. What a great experience that was. 2025 presents a new challenge, and I want to take you along for the journey. For those who don't know me, my name is Stephen Lawrence, and I've been running for over 30 years. I was a junior national champion and an NCAA All-American at Michigan, and most recently, the World Age Group Champion in the 45 to 49 category. In the past 3 years, I've run times ranging from 2:23 to 2:28, with several age group and masters wins. But at this stage of my life, every race brings new challenges, and that's what makes it exciting. Just last fall, my age group winning streak came to an end at Chicago, with a slightly disappointing 2:28. I was second in my age group to Mustafa Mohamed, a former Swedish Olympian and 8:05 steeplechaser. Competing against athletes like him is tough, but it also motivates me to keep pushing. In this video, I'm sharing my goals for Boston 2025, how I plan to achieve them, and why this journey means so much to me. If you're a masters runner or just somebody chasing big goals, stick around and let's dive in. Competing as a masters runner is different. Recovery takes longer, injuries creep in, and the competition doesn't get any easier. But it can also be incredibly rewarding. There are countless stories of athletes running their best times of their lives as masters runners. My main goal for the spring of 2025 is to win my age group at the Boston Marathon again. This time as a 47-year-old in the middle of the 45 to 49 age bracket. Each year, younger runners enter the group, and I know it's going to take everything I've got to stay competitive. Depending on the conditions, I expect to need to run at least 2:26 to achieve this goal. Each marathon teaches me something new. In past Boston races, I've learned that pacing is everything, especially on those downhill stretches early in the race. Those easy early miles can trick you into running a lot faster than you should. Unlike a flat course like Chicago, you can't simply aim for an even pace at Boston. I'll need to be more strategic about finding a pacing strategy that lends to a successful outcome. One thing I've had to accept as I've aged is that I can't train the same way I did in my 20s or 30s. Recovery and warm-up are non-negotiable parts of my training plan. In my 20s or 30s, I could get out of bed and just go run. In my 40s, and as I get older, it becomes increasingly important to do a proper warm-up before my runs with a lot of glute and hamstring activation work. In 2023, I was suffering from some hip issues and was forced to reduce my mileage and supplement with cross-training for at least a quarter of my training. A year later, I was less injured. I mean, let's face it, I never get through a full training cycle without having any issues. But things were going pretty well, and I was able to put in a lot of miles. One would think that this time around I would run a lot better, but that isn't really how it turned out. I ran about a minute faster, despite running significantly more miles and having much better workouts. I think I learned a little bit more about the importance of cross-training in that cycle. And for this time around, I'll plan to incorporate cross-training into my training even when I'm feeling healthy. Boston isn't just any marathon. The hills and the weather, they all require specific preparation. My training plan includes long runs on hilly routes and tempo runs that will mimic the course profile, and a focus on staying strong through the hills late in the race. I tend to prefer to do my tempo and marathon pace workouts on the treadmill, and in the past, I've just kept the incline at 1 for simplicity. I don't think that has really worked that well for me for Boston. I've tended to break down late in the race due to not being properly prepared for both the uphills and the downhills. This time around, I'll systematically add some more downhills and uphills into these tempo and marathon pace workouts to keep my legs hard as I prep for those final hills at Boston. At the end of the day, it's more than just about winning or running a good time. I recognize that I'm quite fortunate to be in the position I'm in, running in big races and chasing exciting goals. I plan on enjoying every moment of this process while I give it my all. This is just the start of my Boston journey. In upcoming videos, I'll dive deeper into the strategies I mentioned, like strength training and Boston-specific workouts, and ideas for injury prevention. What's your biggest challenge as a Masters runner? Let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear your stories and your tips. If you're excited to follow along, hit the subscribe button and turn on the notification as I keep these videos coming in. Let's chase some big goals together. Boston 2025 is going to be tough, but that's what makes it worth it. Whether you're training for your next marathon or just looking for inspiration, I hope you'll join me on this journey.